Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Owl House, episode 11. Hopefully this lifts me back up. I've been pre-recording stuff today, and I just pre-recorded Wednesday's reaction to Doro, and if you watched that yesterday, and I know not all of you who watched the Owl House reactions might watch that, but if you have, you'll know why. Yeah, I need something to lift me up, and hopefully this will help. Hopefully. But yeah. What happened last time? Um, oh, yeah, last time. King was doing the entire, like, trying to take over the playground or something. And, he had to watch over, like, Ida because her curse was getting worse and everything. And Luz took Ida's staff, hurt Albert, who started to distrust her, and we found out that the Bat Queen is originally part of one of those staffs too. I forgot the actual word for it. And she's been protecting the forgotten and mistreated staffs ever since. And so Luz had to prove herself and prove that her and Albert could make up for it. So the last episode, really the only big thing it gave to us that's going to be a thing going forward, that we know of at least, is the big story stuff with the curse, which was relegated to the B plot, which is kind of weird. I mean, I like the A plot more in general with that last episode, but the B plot, again, it's just because of how important that is, that Ida's curse is getting worse. I feel like that should have been an A plot thing. Like this series makes some weird decisions with choosing what is the A plot and what's the B plot. There are episodes like that feel like the A plot should be the other thing, or that it would at least be more entertaining. And there's some episodes where it's like, why is the B plot the one that's giving us important story continuing information and big drops like that? Like, that should be in an A plot. It just, that's a weird decision for a show to make, I feel. Because when you have a show that very clearly, episodically, pretty much almost every time has an A plot and a B plot, the A plot is the one that should be the important one. It should be the one furthering the story. It should be the one that is the most focused on. It should be the one that it pretty much always is. That's why it's the A plot. But you get what I mean. It should be the one that's the important one, the one that furthers the main story, the one that furthers any overarching plot points. And the B plot should be something more lighthearted to kind of mix it up in the episode and maybe add a little comedy, add a little frivolity or whatever, while the A plot is still the main focus. This show does the A plot, B plot thing pretty consistently, and it's like pretty much every time. And so it's like having the B plot be the part where that big thing is revealed, where the curse is getting worse and it's not reacting the same way it should be, or it has been. Like, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. It just, I don't get it. I'm not saying the last episode was bad. I actually liked the last episode very much, especially compared to some other episodes lately. I actually really liked that one, but I can't deny that makes no sense, that there's no logic behind that decision. It And you can't even like try to argue that maybe the Ida and King stuff was the A plot because it very much wasn't. The entire episode was centered around the Luz plot. The King and Ida stuff was definitely more of a comic relief thing. It was definitely more of a goofy side story. So again, to have that big story moment furthered in it, just from a storytelling perspective, it just makes no sense. It's not that it doesn't work; it just makes no sense. There's no logic to it. I don't know. I don't know. But either way, yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. Because again, with most of this series being pretty damn episodic, and most of it just not carrying over. Like I'm again really surprised that the Bat Queen returned. And they did leave room for with future stuff with her because of Luz promising to help her find the giant if she ever wants it, if she ever wants to help. They did leave room for that to return, but it's like most of the stuff we see in these are probably not going to be super important going forward, and that's just the nature of an episodic series. Um, but there's certain things here and there that kind of just connect, and it's like I know since Alex Hirsch is helping with this and everything and is voicing in it, I'm wondering if this is going to kind of take more of a Gravity Falls route. I know people have compared it to Gravity Falls, but I'm just wondering if the route it takes is going to be similar. And what I mean is the first season is almost entirely episodic until near the end when something big happens that kind of connects certain points and has like this, big season finale thing going on. And then season two is where things are really going to start getting going, where it's going to actually introduce a real big overarching plot point that actually changes the entire course of the series. And actually, the entire series at that point starts, even though there's still episodic stuff, it starts to get more noticeably focused. I wonder if we're going to have the same kind of thing here, even if there's plans for more than just two seasons with this one, unlike with Gravity Falls. Um, I'm just wondering if it's going to have kind of that same, you know, thing going on with it, that kind of pacing and everything. The only difference here, though, is I think Gravity Falls' episodic nature was better. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying Owl House enough, and there's certain elements of it that I really like. But the overall quality of the episodes in Gravity Falls and the humor and the characters were just better overall. I mean, the best things that this series has going for it is the stuff with Luz and Amity, and I really wish there was more of that. Because right now it seems to mostly center around Ida and stuff, and it's like I'm not. I like Ida, but I'm not that interested in her stuff. Not as much as I'm interested in again the stuff with Luz and Amity. And it's like Gravity Falls didn't really have that problem. It's like pretty much everything Gravity Falls did was great. This stuff with Pacifica, the stuff with Bill, the stuff with Gideon. It's like every route it took was good. But here it's like really there's like, eh, the King and Ida stuff. I could take it or leave it. It doesn't have an impact on me. And the stuff with Luz and Amity is that's the stuff I mostly care about. And there's some exceptions here and there. There's some things I definitely want to find out more about. I definitely want to know more about the curse, sure. I definitely want to maybe find out more about King's past and history. But overall, I just feel like those are the weaker parts of this series and the stuff that is not going to necessarily make me drop this again or anything, but it's the stuff that makes me a little less excited than I could be. It's the stuff that kind of draws away my enthusiasm for this. But then it is the episodes where we do get stuff with Amity and Luz, and it's like, that's the stuff I want to see. I just wish they weren't so uncommon. Wish they weren't so just randomly scattered about, and wish they were more consistent with that stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. But either way, we're just gonna get this started. Hope for the best. Hope that this episode's at least uplifting and fun enough to, again, get my mind off of the dark places it was in prior to recording this. After recording the Wednesday Dororo reaction, because I definitely need to get over that quick. I do not want that in my mind still. So we're just going to get this going. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. I don't know if you heard that out there, but I apologize. Someone's rubbing something out there. Either way, thank you all once again so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. What did I just get done saying in the pre-thoughts? Like, seriously. I just talked about it in the pre-thoughts, how sometimes the A-plot and the B-plot, I feel, should have been reversed. And that was very much the case in this episode. In fact, that was excessively the case in this episode. The A-plot here, with Luz and King and the book stuff, the book fair, the book deals and everything, that felt like a B-plot. It felt like just comic relief, boring stuff that just was there to fill time and to give a little bit of levity and stuff. But it took up most of the episode. The actual B-plot was Ida and Lilith, which felt very much like the A-plot. It was extremely important to their characters, to a lot of character development between them. It had some importance to the story involving the curse and everything. And even the Emperor's Coven to a lesser degree. Like, come on. What is with this series? Maybe one of you know. Maybe one of you can explain it. But I do not understand for the life of me. Like, to put it simply, the B plot here, the stuff with Ida and Lilith, what we saw in this episode was one of my favorite things that this series has done so far. The stuff between Ida and Lilith here was so good. It was one of the best parts of this series so far. The A plot, I could take it or leave it. It's like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't anything great. It had a fun concept. There was a really funny joke about Crunch in there. Like that I will admit was really fucking good. But the A plot in general felt random. Like this just completely random, out of nowhere, just little side story. And that's what it felt like, a side story. While the B plot felt like a major main story. So I'm going to talk about the A plot first to kind of get it out of the way, and then I'll go into the B plot. So the A plot, there's a book fair going on in town. Luz wants to write a book because it's kind of always been one of her dreams, and she gets King to help her. They argue over the path they want the book to take. King wants it to be more violent and edgy, while Luz wants it to be more balanced. And Luz is willing to work with him, but he's more... He wants it his way. And that's very much in line with King's just personality. So they kind of get into a fight, and King decides to do the book on his own. He ends up letting a publisher read it. The publisher loves it and, well, publishes it. Granted, part of it was still already written by Luz, so King just basically finished it. King gets famous. He and Luz try to make up, but he keeps messing up on how to do that. And eventually they both get captured, forced to write the second book by deadline under literal crunch, threat of crunch. um, and they end up devising a way out of there using tactics together. And in the end, the one, I don't know if she has a name, but that one cute nose girl who is really adorable in this episode, and who's been there throughout the season, series, season, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, she ended up taking King's place as the new big author. um, the entire thing felt pointless. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't really change much. The only thing that came from it that might go into the future is the fact that the nose girl is a published author now, and that King is a published author. Like that might come into play in the future, but I don't really feel that's going to be a big deal if it does. It might just be like a little side gag or background gag. It just feels pointless. It feels like your typical episodic plot point. It's like it's for this episode. It's going to affect this episode, and that's it. You don't really have to worry about that again. Meanwhile, the B plot felt excessively important. So Ida ends up seeing Lilith get a map to a supposed Fountain of Youth flower. It's basically the Fountain of Youth, but it's in flower form. So Ida ends up getting a map from the same vendor, and basically tries to beat her sister there. While they're both searching for the path, they end up coming across each other and deciding to kind of just work together the rest of the way. They end up reaching it, but the flower is proven to be a fake, and the seller who gave them the maps, it led them there to feed on their life force. And so they, being really highly skilled magic users, take care of him without an issue. But the important thing is their relationship throughout this episode. We see that not only do they both still genuinely love each other, but that they actually will risk their lives to save each other. And that they want what's best for each other. They want each other to succeed. And it's just that they have differences in view on how to do it. Ida is more of a free spirit, wanting to live outside of the rules, to live outside of restrictions that she feels hinders her. While Lilith is more by the books. She's very much within the rules. She likes the order of it all. And she genuinely wants Ida to succeed and to join them in the Emperor's Coven. And Ida, you can see in this episode, even considers it for a second, but chooses not to because she wants to do it on her own. And even the way they go out, even the way they bid each other farewell, it's like, catch you later, not if I catch you first. And it's like, it's cute. It shows that this episode did wonders for their characters, but also continue to note how serious Ida's condition is. Like, even Lilith noted that, and it's like, the Emperor could help cure you, you know? And that's what really gets Ida to consider it for a second. And it's like they're bringing up this big important story stuff as well as developing these characters extremely well. This is the kind of shit I want to see from this series, but I want to see this as the focus, not as a B plot. Like, this should not have been a B plot. The stuff with Luz and King was so unimportant, and this was hugely important. They could have taken the stuff with Luz and King out of this episode entirely, and it would have been better for it. Honestly, I wish this episode was entirely focused on the Ida and Lilith stuff. I know some people may disagree with me, but I really, really like that to such a drastic degree more. I feel like the A plot with the book stuff actually brought the episode down. Again, it wasn't inherently bad or anything. It just wasn't as good, and it just felt pointless. It just didn't do anything for me comparatively. There is like one or two moments in it that were like interesting to me, and one of them was just a really funny joke. It's why I'm so conflicted on this series, and why I like to put it this way. This series has so much potential, but is for some reason refusing to just capitalize on it. It has so much potential to be one of the best modern cartoons out there. Right up there with the likes of Adventure Time or Gravity Falls. And it squanders that potential with just this random bullshit that does not matter. And again, some of this could come back to some degree and end up being a little more important than we thought, like the Bat Queen. But most of it, at least at face value, and as you're watching it, it does not matter. And most of it won't come back. Most of it will not have any big impact on the future. Like, they're literally telling us what will have an impact on the future. They're literally showing us the big important stuff, but it's relegated to the B plot. It's relegated to the side content. And it's like the important stuff should not be seen as side content. The important stuff is what the series should focus on, what it should be about. Again, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being the Lilith in this situation, and other people are more of the Ida. Maybe other people are more free about it and just like, oh yeah, this is fun. I just enjoy having fun and enjoying the comedy and liking the characters. But I'm like, I like the story of shows. I prefer to see good story and to not see the good story that there is squandered and wasted like this. If the entire series was just fun shenanigans and everything, then that'd be one thing. But the fact that they are giving us this little glimpse, this potential of really high quality, and not capitalizing on it irritates me. Because they've got to know what they have here. They've got to know the quality that they have here. Again, like, you can't even compare this at this point to how Gravity Falls handled it with season 1 compared to season 2. Because Gravity Falls never felt like it was squandering its potential with its episodic stories. Everything felt like it mattered. Everything felt right, like it was good and well thought out, and that things would come back into play. And things did, and not everything did, but a lot did. I'm just irritated. This episode wasn't bad, but it was definitely brought down by the A plot. The B plot was really great. And I'm just disappointed that it was the B plot in the first place. It just feels so out of place to organize your show this way. And they still haven't touched on Luz's mother. Yeah, I haven't forgotten about that. They still haven't touched on that yet. I know they're going to. You guys told me after I dropped this the first time that that is eventually touched on. Don't tell me what episode it is, by the way. Do not tell me what episode that ends up being brought back. I want to wait to see because I still don't even know how it's brought back. Um, so I do know it's a thing still, but it's like they still haven't actually done it, and it's like we're like what halfway through the season. I don't even think I think we're actually past halfway through because I don't think there's quite 20 episodes. I might be wrong, but it's like, and we still haven't heard anything about that since episode one. It just seems out of place. But that's more of the long term thing right now. I'm trying not to focus too heavily on that every time. But just with this episode alone, it's just again the A plot and the B plot should have been reversed. The stuff with Ida and her sister Lilith. I don't know why her name escaped me for a split second there. The stuff with Ida and Lilith should have been more focused on. There should have been more to it. We should have had more. And the stuff with the books and King and Luz honestly should have been less, much less. I think the only reason that that was put as the A plot is because it was involving Luz, and they have to focus on the main character. Because God forbid have an episode where the A plot focuses on someone else, and have Luz be in the B plot. God forbid a series do that. I'm salty, yes, by the way. Either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought. Are you an Ida or a Lilith in this situation? Are you more on the side of you just like to enjoy the series as it is and just like to enjoy the fun and frivolity and shenanigans? Or do you also see my points that they're really squandering the potential they have here and that they, although it is still good, it could be better? Tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.